Welcome to another micro lesson on advanced CSS topics. In this particular chunk, we are going to explore the div tag and understand a little bit about the CSS box model. So what we're going to do is we're going to rely on W3 schools for our playground, and we're going to take the content that we generate, do some combinations with our previous work, and insert that into our Google Sites as a chunk of embedded content. So getting started here from an instructional standpoint, under your instructional page, I've given you a prompt to go and play with what is an HTML div tag. In essence, it is a division or a section of HTML, and it's usually used as a container for other HTML options. Typically, you will find that a div tag actually has a very specific name so that you can actually have multiple div tags in your HTML page. However, we're going to totally cheat here and let this ride as a kind of a no-name div tag. I encourage you to try it yourself. And so again, we have to have our typical document declaration up here. Here we've got our HTML sandwich. Here we've got our body sandwich. And in this particular case, I've got a paragraph tag and I've got a divider or a div tag here. Notice that I've got inline CSS styling here as opposed to embedded in the header. You can do it either way. This is not as efficient as doing some of the embedded CSS. However, that's the way they've chosen to do it here. If you want to know more about the differences between inline, embedded versus linked CSS styles, please go back and revisit the pages on CSS and go visit the pages for the W3 schools, because they have quite a bit of extensive knowledge or information on this. So moving forward here, the point of this little exercise is to know that this is a division or a block here. And in this particular case, the only style that we've applied here is our background color is light blue. I have also gone out to my HTML picker, a color picker, excuse me, and I've found other colors that perhaps I'm happier with. So if I wanted to choose this particular color, I could copy that code. I could come in over here and I could apply that code right there and then run the information, and there's the different background color. That's a little bit dark, but that is an example of how you can play with colors there. So now I'm going to pop over to our other instructional area, which is the CSS box model. And I do encourage you to read through this. It speaks to what a padding attribute is, what a border attribute is, and what the margin attribute is. And particularly when we're talking about the border, we need to probably explore a little bit more about what borders do in terms of all of the attributes there. But I'm going to leave that to you to read. I'm going to go ahead, just jump to the try it yourself. And here what you can see is that this content up here is sitting outside the box. This is the actual box itself. Notice that it's offset by its margin here. Here is my border here, and notice that there is some padding in between in here. So the things that I can play with here, of course, are that if in fact if I wanted to change this color out, actually let me go get a far better color, because that's going to be too obnoxiously dark that I had. I'm going to copy that color. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it and run that code, and there it is. And in this particular case, I'm not even fond of that background. I could simply go with white, or I could get rid of this line altogether. I don't necessarily need a background color for the div if I don't want that at all. So that bit of code right there is a little bit redundant. So all that said and done, make sure you understand these two concepts of the HTML div tag, which then plays into the concept of a CSS box model. And this is an example of how you might apply some of those attributes. I'm going to stop this video here so that I can concentrate on the next bit, which is combining the code for your next little bit of exercise.